right, so we are back with our last installment of these videos about accessories for the 12 seasons.
Yeah, and here we have the winters, which I'm really excited to talk about.
Yeah, so let's get cracking, shall we? Yep, so this is the winters, starting with bright winter.
Bright winter. So I picked this one, and the reason I picked it, because I was kind of debating, what to do for bright winter, and I wanted to do something a little bit, unusual. And I thought immediately of yellow because so many bright winters are, either terrified of yellow or sometimes they'll even like it, during their PCA, but then they will just admit to themselves that they're never going to wear it. They're not going to ever buy, a sweater in that color. And so I do think that yellow can be really beautiful on bright winter. I think that it kind of nods toward like that tropicality of spring without being too warm, because bright winters, I see why bright winter tends to steer clear of yellow, which is that if a color's too warm on them, it's going to look sallow. And so after a lifetime of like going too warm, a lot of the time bright winters will swing really hardcore in the other direction and stay away from anything remotely yellow. But I think this type of like, canary lemon yellow can be really beautiful, and it can be really excellent in like a part of a pattern or a shoe or like an earring, something that's not like, a huge piece of fabric right next to the face, even though I personally like that on many bright winters, but I know that a lot of women aren't going to go do that. So I thought these shoes were like a really good example of a piece that is fun. It's like a little bit unexpected, and it brings in that like really cool, juicy yellow.
True. And I think this kind of yellow is in the category of those carnival colors that newly minted, freshly minted bright winters are terrified of. But they are so happy and they do so much for you. And I can imagine shoes like this, or maybe not with such high heels, would elevate an outfit of clear blue denim very, very nicely. Um, I had to laugh when you presented this because I thought, oh, nobody's going to wear that. But maybe some people do. But I couldn't resist picking something else in yellow, which is something that I suggest to my clients who are afraid of yellow. Get some yellow rain boots, because in those cold, dreary, rainy days, putting on a pair of yellow wellies is really, really fun. And it's a nice way to bring color into your outfit. Accessories, a color as an accessory, or colored accessories, could be handbags or shoes. And shoes are safe because the color is kind of away from your face. Although I have a yellow cardigan, which you've probably seen, which I love and I wear. But I can understand that this is kind of it might not be included in the training wheels of bright winter because it's a little bit in your face.
It's like not bold. Yeah. And I love these boots because I think like rain boots too have, kind of a history of often being like a fun color or like a fun pattern. So it's not something that I think people will really feel like they're stepping out with, like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to look at my rain boots. And like, I think a lot of women are afraid people are like looking and laughing at them, when they wear something a little, bold. And I think because rain boots, are often kind of a fun color, it's like a safe way to like experiment with that type of bright yellow. And like, who doesn't want to look down at their like, sunny yellow boots on like a gray, dreary day? I think they're really cute.
Yes, and it's kind of a childlike, joyful thing to have colored rain boots. Okay, this is what I picked as an accessory for bright winter. They are sensible, warm mittens, and like you said in another episode, that everybody has to, when it's cold, you have to have something warm to wear. You have to wear hats and mittens, and those accessories are perfect places to express your season. And I love these soft white mittens, but with a very glittery sewn on beads. I think it's crystal beads. So nice.
I love them. I would like be thrilled like if these were like my mittens, you know. I mean, how could you not just feel happy like putting them on? And I like that, you know, the fabric's very soft and cozy, because I think that all three of the winters, you know, you'll often see women who think like they just have to wear only patent leather or only like very sleek textures. But you know, winters can be cozy, they can be soft, they can wear like fluffy textures as well. And so I thought this was like a really great example of, you know, a soft, cozy knit with like this little glitzy flair to it. I just thought they were really adorable.
Mm. Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, because as we've said many times, any season can express any style. And in the summer episode, you had a lovely, lovely image of a woman with jeans, a true summer woman with an outfit for a true summer woman with jeans and a navy blazer with very, very sharp lapels. It was really very dramatic and sharp. And that's summer can also be expressed that way. And that doesn't always have to be soft and flowy, and winter doesn't always have to be sharp and dramatic. And I think it's worth mentioning. All right, moving on to true winter.
Sure.
You told me you couldn't choose between these two, so I put both of them in.
Yeah, I loved. So I almost thought about doing kind of like a statement coat for bright winter as well, but in the end, the images that I found were so good for true winter that I decided to give it to them, because I think both seasons, any winter, you know, could do this. But I really liked these because a lot of the time, true winters do really like black, and they wear black a lot. It looks really good on them, or sometimes they'll do like black and white. And so I thought this was a great example of, you know, a pop of color that really jazzes up an otherwise black outfit, where, you know, the black then becomes, you know, very intentional feeling, and not just like, well, I'm wearing black because my whole wardrobe just somehow happens to be black. Like it feels like, you know, very on purpose, because black does look good on true winter, you know. And sometimes they find that, you know, their wardrobe has gotten a little too black, like overall. But I think that having a statement coat is like a great accessory to combat that. I really liked this pink coat in particular because I thought it was a great example of a true winter pink that we wouldn't automatically always think of as a true winter pink. Like it's very saturated, but it still has a little bit of that kind of like cool, like white quality to it. It's just not muted enough to really be like a summer, but it's not that like really deep magenta that, you know, we'll often kind of think of. And then I really liked this kind of dark royal blue as well. I really liked how in both of these images, the woman is also carrying like a textured black handbag. In the blue coat, I think it's like a crocodile type of texture, and then in the other one it's more of like a quilted texture. But I liked that even for this accessory that is kind of like basic black, it had a good texture. It had like some other quality to it, because I think if you are somebody who wears a lot of black, you know, just to look for ways to elevate those pieces that you're buying in black, you know, instead of just buying, you know, like 5 plain black t-shirts, like look for ones with like an interesting neckline or like an interesting sleeve, so that it feels a little more intentional. And like the woman in the blue coat is also wearing these kind of like scrunchy boots, you know. I think things like that can make a big difference.
Mm, yes, the interesting texture makes a lot of difference. And also I think the fact that these two coats, the color is bold, but the cut is very simple in both of them. The blue one is a classic simple trench, and then the pink one is a sleeve, not sleeve, but a colorless, beautifully simple style, but with a very interesting detail with a pleat on the sleeve. I like that. And in this, just like those yellow rain boots on the cold, dreary winter days with rain and stuff, it's really nice to, you have to keep warm. You have to have a coat. So why not have a coat that really shines in one of your bolder colors? It's really nice, especially when you keep all the other clothes very dark, and well, black being the preferred color of true winters, a lot of them, and just have one color and then let it be one of those bold ones.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Let's move on. This is what I picked for dark winter, and the reason why I picked it was that the belt was so, the texture of it spoke to me as dark winter. It's a cool metal. It's not really oxidized. It's polished, but the texture of it makes it more, how do you say, autumny? And I really like the way those ovals, the shape is repeated, so it's not really wild out there, but it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I like metal belts for winters. It's interesting.
Yeah, I love this belt. I love like the slightly earthy texture, but it's still crisp and like polished at the same time. Like I think it's a great example of, that kind of intersection, that dark winter has between autumn and winter, where like the colors, are very cool, they're crisp, but then there's just like that little bit of earthiness that kind of comes in. And even just the way that, light kind of bounces off of this belt, where it kind of gets some natural shadowing in certain spots, even though it's not, like oxidized itself, just like the way that it kind of looks. I think it's really, really effective. And I liked, what you said about how it's not really wild and out there. Like it's still kind of crisp and contained in its shape, but it's like very interesting. It's not just, like a plain chain.
Mm. And the contrast between the belt, the metal belt, and the very subdued color combinations, it's almost too soft to be a winter blue, the t-shirt. And if you imagine taking away the belt and only wearing the skirt and top, it would be a very blah kind of outfit. And adding the belt, you suddenly, there's interest and there's contrast. And I think
I
doing
agree.
a belt instead of a necklace is kind of, I like it. It's interesting.
Yeah, even if I imagine this belt almost like as a necklace, where just like it's like one pendant, I think it could be really effective. And if I imagine like the belt gone from this outfit, it just feels kind of like unfinished, and the belt just really like pulls it all together. I think this is another good example of like, how to kind of fudge things a little bit if you need to, because this type of color of the top, even though it's probably like a little more summery, like a lot of dark winters still like how it looks on them. It might not be like their most dynamic color, but I think a lot of them still, have stuff like this in their wardrobes, especially early after, being draped. And I think that it just works really well, like in the context of this whole outfit. And it's all because of the accessory.
Yes. If you remember to bring in contrast, it can make it, you can make it work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And here's another dark winter. I think you reminded me earlier that I was the one who picked this, so which is I couldn't remember, but I like it so much because it's not an animal print, but there's something about the way those dots are arranged. It gives me an animal print feel. And I think it's perfect for dark winter because it has a kind of a hint of autumn without being it. And of course, the colors are so nicely dark winter, and the multi all those different bracelets with the sparklies is really nice, and the upturned cuff of the white blouse. And the interesting thing about that thin belt, that it doesn't have a silver buckle, it has a gold buckle, which makes it a little bit off kelter, and that I think that it's kind of an interesting thing about it, I think.
I agree. I think if it were silver, it's not that it would be bad. I just like really appreciate that it's not, in this context. And I think it gives like an interesting, like mixed metal kind of look with the bracelets. I really like, this type of red on Dark Winter. I think it's just like a beautiful kind of like tried and true color for them. I really like it with the navy. I don't know why, but I've always really liked that color combination for them. And I even like, I know this is like the clothes and not the accessory, but I even like that she's wearing white, because Dark Winters also tend to default to black, but they also look good in like a crisp white. And I think that this is a good way, with the scarf and the jacket to kind of keep it from feeling too like light near the face. Like it still gives that kind of depth that they need, but it's not like they're wearing, head to toe black either. So I just really liked kind of the way everything in this image interacted due to the accessories.
The contrast. I agree. That's true about white. That white can be the other black, but you have, for Dark Winters, you really need to bring something dark in to ground it, and to, of course, for the much needed contrast. True. And you picked
this one I picked. I really wanted to pick like an animal print for Dark Winter because I think that Dark Winter tends to just look really good in like a cool animal print, and I think that a cool toned animal print is a little more contemporary than the classic like kind of brown and gold or like brown and black. And I've started to see cool toned animal print a lot more now. Like for a long time it was like almost impossible to find, but I feel like now you can actually find it more. So I really liked, that concept of the animal print. I like that it has this kind of like warm taupe in there. And it really nods to how Dark Winter, is influenced by autumn. There is that autumn influence there. It's just not, full-fledged like orange and brown all the time. And then I really liked her earrings where they're this triangle that I kind of suspect is gold, but it's hard to tell if it's just like a reflection of light. And then, combined with this warm taupe clutch with these gold spikes on it, I just thought was like really excellent. I thought it was like a good example of Dark Winter using, their slightly warmer kind of neutrals, especially paired with black.
Yes, I really like the way that triangle earring echoes the spikes on the bag. I think it's so cool. And do you think I'm thinking that the animal print is, the colors are cool, but also the fact that the blobs, the leopard spots are kind of large, and it's not that very messy,
Yeah.
small print leopard or animal print. It's kind of bold and large. Do you think that's part of why it works for winter?
I kind of think so. Yeah, it's not that like teeny tiny kind of pattern. And then I also just noticed like another thing I like is that, the animal print is like rounder, and then it's contrasting with the sharpness of like the earrings and this bag. And so I think it's just another element of contrast, for Dark Winter, where it's not always, light and dark contrast that can be effective. It can also be like stylistic contrast depending on,
Yes,
what someone's personal style is.
the organic blobs of the animal print with the pointy triangle sharp earrings. That's an interesting way to think about contrast in shape as well as color. Yes. And is that white and black nail polish she's wearing?
I think it is actually, which I think like mirrors that scarf really well. Um, I think the colors are really cool. I like that the scarf too is like a bit shorter. It like feels like crisp. It's kind of like wrapped. It's not like real like droopy. But yeah, I love the nail polish, and I feel like several of the images that we saw kind of throughout the series had like just really cool nail polish. I think like a series on different nail polishes for different seasons could be really cool.
I like that. I like that idea. That's maybe our next topic. Cool. Well, think about it. Well, anyway, we've reached the end of our accessories for winters episode, and it was really fun to chat with you again about this, Cate. And we will be back some other time with another topic, possibly nail polish. Why not?
Nail
Uh,
polish. Yes, send us your ideas for little snackable videos. We love chatting.
yes, that's true. We would love to have some suggestions, and we'll see what happens. Until the next time, bye.
Bye.